Once upon a time, 27 years after the bombs fell, there were two people, a vault dweller and a California girl. They met and sparks flew. That's when things got interesting. This is their story.
Once Upon a Wasteland, Season 3, Episode 8, As the Wings of Starlings Bear Them On.
We have a problem.
Good morning to you, too.
I'm serious.
I can tell. What's going on? Was there a problem with the vertibot?
No. You might want to consider a beverage service and some pretzels, but other than that, the flight was fine.
I'll pass that along to the team.
They're sending an assassin. And a good one, too. The vertibot got me here faster than anything they've got, but he's still on his way.
Slow down. Who's the target? Faction leaders wouldn't make sense. Why bother attacking the wedding if they're going to do that? Unless they've decided to pivot.
No pivot. It's still the wedding. But they're putting a hit on me.
You? Why?
Dimitri said I was dangerous.
He's not wrong about that.
True, but that's not why he wants me out of the way. It's how close I am to you and Beth. Intimately close is how he puts it.
How did he...
I asked, but they avoided the question. But the point is, he figures I'd do anything to protect you two. The fact of the matter is, he's right.
We need to get you out of Appalachia. Cindy, too. You can stay in North Carolina with Charles and the citizens until this situation is resolved.
There is no universe where I'm letting you bench me. You think this is the first time I've had a hitman come after me?
This seems significantly more dangerous than a raider faction with a grudge.
Oh, it is. I didn't even get to the best part. I know the guy they're sending. Well, know of him.
Who is he?
Well, first they asked if Beth's mystery tech could be used to program an assassin, but I talked them out of it.
Good call. That would have been difficult to simulate.
Fortunately for us, they already had a backup plan, so it didn't take much convincing. I was kind of hoping they were going to tell me it was somebody I had worked with before, since I could probably flip him, but no luck there. It's a guy named Viktor Zangiev, a Russian.
An old friend of Dmitri and Elena's?
He's worked with Dmitri before, yeah.
Has he done any work in Pittsburgh? Craig may have some intel we can use.
I don't know, but it's possible. He's worked all over. Definitely worth checking.
I'll get in touch with him right away.
Thanks.
Is Cindy in any danger?
They didn't mention her specifically, but if they know about us, they know about her.
They could try to use her to get to you.
I was thinking the same thing. If she stays put in the bunker, she should be fine. If we loop Valeria in, she'll keep her on lockdown.
Hopefully, but I don't trust her. If she sees an angle, she won't hesitate to put Cindy in harm's way.
Not helping.
I know. I'm just making sure that we are assessing the situation realistically.
I appreciate it. I'm just worried about her.
I'd be worried about you if you weren't. We'll keep her safe, even if Valeria doesn't. But for what it's worth, I think she will.
Me too.
Amanda!
Hey, Princess. How you feeling?
Very well, thank you. That shower helped a lot. Learn anything interesting after we left?
I did. Dimitri's sending a hitman after me.
What? Why?
Odessa and I just had this conversation. She can fill you in after I head out. Don't worry about me. I'm gonna be fine.
I'm more worried about the hitman.
That's the spirit.
What do you know about him?
Just his reputation, some stories I've heard over the years, and what this syndicate told me. I didn't want to ask too many questions. Solid reputation, total pro. Doesn't work cheap, but he's worth all the caps. Tough son of a bitch, too.
I wouldn't expect anything less. Any idea how he's going to approach this?
Nah, he's the kind of guy you just give the target to and let him do his thing. Don't even know what his thing is, just that he's very good at it.
I'm going to get in touch with Craig. He may be able to shed some light on that.
I also got some intel that I was not expecting. I don't think Victor Scarlatti is running this thing.
Beth suspected the same thing before she went through the veil. She remembered when we were listening to the recordings she made.
Way ahead of me as always. Did you figure out who is in charge?
No, I would have cracked it eventually, but, well, my little detour prevented that.
I did some sniffing around, and I think I have a name.
Who is it? If it's someone we know, it would go a long way in explaining what they're really after. The Syndicate wanting to take over Appalachia for the sake of it never felt right to me.
It's not someone we know. Well, not someone I know, at least. His name is Mickey Bliss.
Very funny. But seriously, who is it?
I am being serious. What's so funny? You know this guy?
It's not a name. Well, I suppose it is, in a way. But it's Cockney rhyming slang.
I know some of those words.
Taking the mick means that you're joking, or perhaps making fun of someone.
Yeah, now that you mention it, I remember hearing you say that a few times. I figured it was just one of those weird-ass English expressions.
It is, but the Mick part is short for Mickey Bliss.
I really hope that wasn't supposed to make it make sense. Why can't you people speak English?
The point is that Mickey Bliss isn't a real person. Someone is using that name to be cheeky, either as a joke or because they're toying with the Syndicate, mocking them.
I'll take your word for it.
It could be someone who has an interest in keeping their identity concealed from the Syndicate. Perhaps an old rival. Someone that one of the players had a fractious relationship with.
I'll ask Craig about that name when I talk to him. If they've used it before, he might know something.
Here's hoping. Hadn't heard of anyone using it, but that could simply be a factor of distance. They may be based even farther away than Cincinnati, and that would make it vanishingly unlikely that we have a reason to have heard of them.
Yeah, word travels fast, but not far. At least not accurately. Even when you do hear something from a traveling caravan or something, it's like a game of telephone.
I've noticed that. Some of the stories we've heard about the Brotherhood have been, let's say, inaccurate.
I was pretty tempted to ask what kind of stories they had heard about me that got them so fired up that they decided to send Victor fucking Zangiev after me.
Those stories may have been accurate. I'm glad you're on our side.
Yeah, you two are lucky I like you so much.
I'd agree with that.
Look, I'm not going to sit on my hands and just wait for this guy to take me out. I say we take the fight to them.
How? If we're right about Scarlatti not truly being in charge, removing him from the equation isn't going to stop this. Same goes for Dimitri and Elena. Mickey, whoever he is, will just regroup with different players.
And there's no shortage of those in the Wasteland. We'd simply be delaying the inevitable, and perhaps not even that.
Our conversations with the Syndicate have indicated that they're thorough, patient. It's possible, perhaps even likely, that they have a standby team just in case we got wise.
Or some other contingency plan. This seems to have been in the works for a long time. They were just waiting for the right time to strike. And when that time came, it was just a matter of details.
Amanda is right. We have to take the fight to them. Now it's a matter of figuring out how.
We need to do that before they figure out that our mind-controlled army was a ruse. And they're gonna do that quickly.
If they haven't already. If they've already sent somebody to take me out, wheels have got to be in motion.
Let's not assume anything. But you're right. It's something we have to consider.
That means going on offense is no longer a choice. We have to do it. And do it starting now.
Great! You know how much I love a good old-fashioned knockdown drag-out. But how do we do that?
Let's start figuring that out now.
Sounds great. I'll make the drinks.
Knight Jenkins, may I have a word?
Of course. What's up?
In private.
Sure? This conference room is free. Am I in trouble, Scribe?
No.
Shoo! Thank God. What did you want to talk about?
In your conversations with the Syndicate, did you discuss Amanda at all?
A bit, yeah.
Can you tell me about those discussions?
Sure. I mean, she wasn't on the list of no-go topics, so when they asked about her, I told them what I know. Which isn't much.
Wait, they brought her up?
They did. It seemed like they already knew all about her. They just wanted me to confirm and clarify.
She does have a reputation.
That was one of the things I asked about. Whether that reputation is accurate.
What did you tell them?
That she's mostly stepped away from the raider life, but people still know better than to cross her. I told them about that guy who tried to hurt you when you were undercover a couple years ago. I hope that's okay.
It's fine. What else?
I confirmed that she and Beth used to be a thing.
So they knew that already.
They sure did.
What about her and I?
What do you mean?
Did they ask about my relationship with Amanda?
Yeah, they did. I told them you were good friends, which didn't seem out of the ordinary given how close she and Beth still are.
And that's all.
That's all I know.
They seem to know more. And that's a concern. Not merely because they know more, but why are they interested in that specifically?
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. As far as we know, you and Beth are just providing a convenient target so they can take out the heads of all the factions in one fell swoop. If there's more to it, that's going to change the calculus.
We've always presumed that they had multiple sources of intel here in Appalachia. Have they mentioned any others? Specific ones?
No. They haven't even confirmed that there are others, but like you said, it's very likely that there are. Knight Carlson and I believe that there's at least one inside every faction, but we can't really confirm that.
At least one. If they have more than one inside the Brotherhood.
It's possible, but I know what you're thinking, and I wouldn't worry about it. Even if there is another mole here, and I mean a real one, Knight Carlson and I have been careful. Nobody knows that I'm a mole, much less that I'm not really one. I mean, we were trained by the best, after all.
You were? Though she might argue that her father deserves that title.
I've heard a lot about Andrew, and Casey loved him. He was like a second father to her.
He was like that for a lot of people. Even me.
Yeah. I've never heard anyone say a bad word about the man. I'm sure he was awesome, and I wish I could have met him, but I can only go by what I've seen. Beth gets it.
She does.
And so do you.
Thanks.
I'll just tell them we're talking about party favors or something.
You two better be talking about centerpieces.
Something like that. It's nice to see you too, Greg.
Sorry, things have been a little hectic around here.
I know. You're doing a great job.
Thanks. I just got done reading your report. That was,
It's okay. I haven't settled on a word to describe it yet either.
I'm just glad you're both here. There's something that jumped out at me, and I wanted to get your take on it.
Of course.
One of the names sounded familiar, but I couldn't for the life of me figure out why.
Which name?
Blackhall.
Oh, I was hoping it wasn't that one.
Sorry.
Where have you heard it before? We haven't encountered any black holes here in Appalachia. And Dunwich borers didn't operate here either.
That second part might not be entirely accurate.
How so?
No black holes roaming around that I know of, but Dunwich borers did operate there, indirectly. They worked with the Bish Company on some local projects here and there.
The natural gas company? That makes sense.
So does the fact that you didn't know about it. They were careful to cover up that partnership. The only reason I knew about it was a spook story an old man told me back when I was an initiate. Thought he was nuts, and I was probably right. Well, I went back and did some digging after I read your report. The old man was gone and most of the equipment was fried or looted, but I did manage to salvage some data.
Why were they so interested in keeping their partnership a secret? A mining company and a natural gas company working together shouldn't raise any suspicions.
I agree. Under normal circumstances, at least. I don't have all the specifics, but they were working together on some big project outside DC. Whatever it was, they were very keen on keeping the details under wraps, especially the fact that Richard Dunwich and his company were involved.
Do you think it could be related to Ugg Qualtoth?
That was my first thought. If that's why Dunwich's company was involved with the project, I can understand both sides wanting to keep it quiet.
Did the data you found support that?
Kind of.
Kind of?
If you were hoping for some sort of codex describing the company's efforts to awaken a sleeping elder god, I'm afraid you're going to be disappointed.
As nice as that would have been, I didn't expect it to be that easy.
Good.
What did you find?
This map, for starters.
What are we looking at here?
Nothing that I would have noticed without the context your report provided. They were slick, but the more I combed through the data, I started to notice a pattern.
It was coded?
Some of it. Most of it was legit. And boring, no pun intended. Lots of stuff about natural gas deposits, pipeline construction, blah blah blah.
That does sound boring. Maybe they counted on people not looking into it too deeply? Or falling asleep if they tried.
I thought I was going to doze off a few times. But hey, if you ever need to know anything about how to extract natural gas from the ground and build a pipeline to get it somewhere, I'm your guy.
I'll keep that in mind, but let's stick to the relevant parts of the data for now.
Of course. So, I'm pretty sure that they were looking for something. Well, several somethings.
What made you think that?
You remember that natural resource survey we got from Vault 96, right?
Of course. Oil seeps, acid deposits, all kinds of different ore veins, and natural gas deposits.
Exactly. I cross-referenced that database with the information in the Bish archive. This map lists the natural gas deposits in Bish's database that did not appear in Vault-Tex.
I mean, Bish is a natural gas company. Couldn't they have just done a better job of identifying them than Vault-Tec?
Guess where Vault-Tec got their data from?
Aha! And from there, it was just process of elimination.
Was there any indication of what these several somethings were?
No, but given the strength of the encryption they had protecting that section of the database, they were important. I did notice that the names of those locations didn't match up with any map I've seen.
The Sarnath Basin, Azathoth's Cradle, Dragon's Hollow.
Anything ring a bell?
No. But look at these 3 locations.
Ah, yeah, the triplets. The Earthbound Root, the Skybound Branch, and the Starbound Leaf. What about them? Oh, shit!
Are they?
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that.
There's no way that's a coincidence.
It's not. The triplets are sitting underneath Foundation, Vault 76.
And Fort Atlas.
If I squint and dramatically increase my tolerance for coincidences, I can maybe believe that Spruce Knob and Atlas Observatory were built without knowing they were on top of a natural gas deposit. That would explain Foundation and Fort Atlas. But Vault 76? Vault-Tec had this map, and there is no way they would have built a control vault that close to one.
If one of those unaccounted for locations is suspect, all of them are in question.
So you think those 3 locations are related?
I think they might be. Beth is the expert, but one thing that stood out about the black holes is that they tended to be a bit precious about naming things. So it seems logical. All of this information is pre-war?
It is.
I wish I'd built that SCM reader already. There might be information in the deep archive about whatever's going on here. I'll need to borrow this map.
Of course. I'll make a copy of the holotape, too.
Ty, has the Syndicate mentioned any of these places? Or any of these names?
Yeah, I mean, they've asked about the defenses here and at Foundation, but that made sense if they were planning a full-on assault. They did ask about Vault 76, but I just figured they were looking for a way in like everybody else. Other than those, let me see. Yeah, right here. They've asked about this one multiple times.
That's not far from where I found that old man.
I'll brief Beth. She can look through the data you found while I build the SCM reader. Greg, can you take another pass at that site? See if there's anything else worth exploring?
Sure thing.
Be careful. The Syndicate may be watching, and the last thing we need is for them to suspect we're onto them.
Careful is my middle name.
Hey babe, how you feeling?
What are you doing here?
Making a drink?
You know what I mean.
I'm not just gonna sit on my hands at your house, hon, and just wait for somebody to take a shot at me.
What are you making?
Corpse Reviver, number 2.
Aw, that's sweet.
What is?
Naming a drink after me.
Well, Odessa is the one who carried you through that doorway, so technically it's named after her. You were just a corpse.
Who's corpse reviver number 1 then?
Adrian? Look, let's not overthink it.
Never thought I'd laugh about being dead. Well done. What's in it?
Cointreau, Lillet Blanc, lemon juice, and a dash of absinthe.
Can I have one? Could use a pick-me-up.
Sure. And what do you think?
It's good.
I know how much you like Lillet.
The absinthe doesn't hurt either.
You know, it's your fault I have all these fancy drinks on the menu. When I opened this place, the only 2 things I knew how to mix were booze and ice.
Even that ratio tended to be a bit... well... let's just say you could have named most of your drinks Corpse Maker instead of Corpse Reviver.
That's fair. And Corpse Maker would be a great name for a drink.
You should get Bones on it. He's practically an alchemist.
That man is a walking cocktail encyclopedia. Although, he could just be making them up on the fly. Hell, I'd never know.
The customers would. I remember hearing about the guy who ordered a screaming Viking.
That guy was a hoot. Well, hell, that whole night was a hoot.
Wish I could have been here. Odessa told me all about it. Sounded like a sitcom episode.
You're not wrong. But hey, we missed you. Your name came up a lot.
I know. And I noticed Odessa was a lot better at blocking my left cross when I got back.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Nah, I'm glad you two take such good care of each other when I'm away. Just wish I wasn't away so much.
Hey, not all of this is your fault. The whole reason you were in Pittsburgh in the first place is because you had to pay Modus back for helping you get Odessa out of Flagrante Bello. This isn't about Gralsburg, is it? As far as we're concerned, you were only gone for a couple days, remember?
I know. But from my perspective, I was gone for decades. I've been trying so hard to reconcile everything since I came back. But it's been difficult.
Have you talked to Odessa about all this?
Yes, and she's been wonderful. She's not rushing me or putting pressure on me, but she's not letting me wallow either.
Good. I know how you get when you spiral. It isn't good for anybody.
I'll get there.
I know you will. Nobody bounces back better than Elizabeth Kirby. Hey there, pal. What can I get you?
What's good?
Everything. You'll have to narrow it down a bit.
Well, I'm just trying out a couple new drink recipes. Want to give one a whirl?
Don't worry. You're in good hands.
Well, in that case, sure. I'm also kind of hungry. Been on the road all day.
We got you covered there, too. You planning on sticking around for a while, or are you just kind of passing through?
Haven't really decided yet.
I hear that a lot. All right, 1 mystery drink and 1 mystery meal coming right up.
That was Amanda, right?
Yes, it was.
People kept talking about this place, so I figured I might as well check it out while I was in the neighborhood.
Oh? What did they say about it?
Just that it's a little rough around the edges, but you'll be safe there. I heard, don't start none, won't be none a lot.
That's accurate.
They said that the owner will be square with you as long as you're not an asshole. And don't hit on any of her friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Told me to direct my gaze elsewhere if I knew what was good for me.
And what would happen if you didn't?
If I was lucky, I'd just get thrown out on my ass.
That sounds about right.
Wait. Oh no, I wasn't hitting on you, I swear. Not even lightly flirting. Please don't let her hurt me.
You're fine. You've been nothing but polite, and trust me, I know when someone's flirting. You haven't been.
Phew.
All right, here's your drink. Bones says it's a fog cutter.
Let me think. Rum, brandy, gin, lemon juice, orange juice, orgeat syrup, and sherry, if memory serves. I don't know how you source all of that, especially the juices, but I'm glad you did.
You know your drinks.
I like to think so.
Well, let me know what you think. I can't really assess his drinks beyond, this is good, or, oh god, I'm blind. So any feedback from someone who knows what these are supposed to taste like would be really helpful.
It's a deal.
Your food will be out shortly. You a restaurant critic too?
Nah, just a regular old traveler.
Well, regular old traveler, it's nice to have you here.
Thanks. Yeah, she's great.
Did they tell you not to flirt with her either?
Oh man, I swear I wasn't.
I know, I'm just taking the mick.
You're gonna give me a cornery. Talking the what now?
Oh, sorry. English expression. I was born a fair distance away from the Bowbells, shall we say. But I picked it up from one of my dad's friends.
Ah, I don't even know where the Bowbells are, but wherever you're from, your accent is lovely.
Thank you. Where are you from?
Lots of different places.
We hear that a lot too. Well, Appalachia's not a bad place to lay your head. It's come a long way in just a few years.
I heard about the plague. That sounds like a hell of a thing.
It was. Kept people from coming here for several years. And most of the ones who did ended up either dead or infected. And the dead ones got the better end of that deal.
So how'd you beat it?
Teamwork.
No, seriously.
I am being serious. People were at each other's throats, and that prevented any real progress being made against the Scorched. Once they put their differences aside, well, I wouldn't call it easy, but that at least made it possible, which it wasn't before.
I don't know what things are gonna look like down the road, but that seems like a pretty good start.
As long as people remember that it's just that, a start, then they'll be fine. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the world isn't going to be rebuilt in one either. It's going to take years, maybe decades, maybe even centuries, and a lot of hard work.
We'll get there. Or maybe we won't. All we can really do is our best.
That's the right attitude to have. People doing their best will go a long way. History always talks about the big names, the heroes of the story. But there's so much more to it than just them.
Are you a historian?
I was, kind of. Maybe I still am. Still trying to figure that out. Still trying to figure a lot of things out.
You're young. You got plenty of time.
You have no idea.
Well, there's a lot of stories out there in the Wasteland. I may not know yours specifically, but I'll bet it's a good one.
It's had its moments.
If you could go back and talk to yourself 10 years ago, what would you tell her?
That's a bit more complicated a question than you might think.
Just think about it. It might help you figure out the things you need to.
I've been avoiding that a bit. Thinking, I mean. I just got back after long trip, and I've been trying to focus on how happy I am to be back, which I am. Deliriously happy.
But
But it's hard not to think about what I left behind.
it always is. Sometimes we leave things behind, and sometimes they leave us behind. It's just the way things go, especially in the Wasteland. But that ring on your finger suggests that you have something to hold on to now. Something real. And that's a real gift.
It is. She is. And I'm thankful for her every day.
Look, I know that things get complicated out here. Confusing. But when you have something like that to focus on, well, that star's always gonna guide you home.
That's it.
What's it?
A couple of years ago, I was lost. Couldn't find my way out. Couldn't find my way home. But I heard her voice echoing to me through the darkness. And that's how I found my way back. That's when I realized that she's my North Star.
That sounds like a story worth telling.
In fairness, I am more of a storyteller than a historian.
Well, now,
What?
you said am, not was. I'm no expert, but that sounds to me like someone who's living in the present.
Maybe you're right. I just realized that I've been looking at it all wrong. I've been mourning who I was and the things she left behind. But I wouldn't be me without her. And that means she's still here. And those things that she left behind, that I left behind, they're still here too. I'm sorry, I'm rambling.
No, you're doing great. I love a good epiphany.
Are you a psychologist or something? Maybe a therapist?
Nah, I just met a lot of people, that's all. Everybody needs something. Part of the battle is getting them to admit that that's okay. I think you just needed some clarity, with a side order of perspective. So, storyteller, what's next?
Well, I have some business that needs to be settled. Then I'm getting married. And after that, well, on to the next chapter, I suppose.
I'll drink to that.
Order up. Hope you like it.
Smells fantastic. I'm gonna grab a table. It was nice talking to you.
It was nice talking to you as well. Hope to see more of you.
I hope so too.
What was that all about?
What do you mean?
You look like yourself again.
I didn't look like myself before?
Physically, sure. I mean, you were clearly back in the same body when we got you back from Gralsburg. But there was something different about you. I couldn't quite put my finger on it.
That's at the core of it, I suppose. That difference. The thing I've struggled with the most is what being Isabel means for Beth. Given everything that's happened, am I even still Beth? I didn't think a 5-minute conversation with a stranger would provide that much perspective, but I suppose it has. I'm still not entirely there yet, but I can say one thing for certain now. I am Beth, and my life as Isabel doesn't negate that. The thing is, the reverse is true as well. I just need to allow myself to believe that.
Well, it looks like a big weight's been lifted off your shoulders. And that's good enough for me.
Paladin?
Please, come in. How are you feeling, Beth?
I'm well, thank you. Finally starting to feel like myself again.
That's good news.
It is.
Greg should be joining us soon. He's on his way back now.
What did he find?
I don't know. He insisted on coming back immediately and briefing us in person. I contacted you as soon as I got off the radio with him. What about you? Any breakthroughs?
There is a significant amount of data in the Deep Archive, but I focused specifically on the pre-war data from Vault-Tec.
Was there anything in there about the natural gas deposits here in Appalachia?
Not specifically. There were oblique references to companion operations in areas outside Cincinnati, but nothing specific about the operations themselves.
The data that Greg provided wasn't much better. There was just that one mention of the project outside Washington, but that was it.
Beyond the fact that the data was incomplete, that kind of compartmentalization is practically a Vault-Tec trademark.
Based on the data we have and what we saw in Gralsburg, it appears that one of the things Vault-Tec brought to the table in this partnership was infrastructure and logistics support.
That tracks. Dunwich dealt primarily in the arcane and metaphysical. They needed someone with their feet planted firmly in the real world, and nobody had bigger feet than Vault-Tec.
I'd caution against phrasing things that way.
What way?
The real world. Believe me, Oqualtoth and all this work to free it are very real. Odessa and I have been in its presence.
I'm sorry. I meant no disrespect.
I know. I just don't want us to underestimate what we're dealing with here, even tacitly.
I understand.
I got back as fast as I could.
Slow down, Greg. What did you find?
We better hope that the Syndicate just wants to take over Appalachia like they keep telling everybody.
What? Why?
If what they're really after is related to what I found, we're in serious trouble.
I'm listening.
Our hunch was right. That site where I found the old man, well, I don't know what that altar room at Blackhall Manor looked like, but if it was half as creepy as what I found.
What did you find?
There was a hidden door in one of the storage rooms. I was so creeped out when I was searching the place the first time, I must have looked right past it. I had to play a harp to get it to open.
A harp? Can you even read music? Never mind. We'll talk about that part later.
Once I got that door open, I went down, and just kind of kept going. It was clear that it was some sort of excavation site, and it went deep. Reminded me of the burning mine, just with less actual burning and more existential dread.
But you eventually got to the bottom.
Might have been the bottom, I don't know. For all I know, it just kept going straight into hell, or maybe the center of the earth. But fortunately, I didn't have to go any farther.
What did you find?
Nothing good, but I think we might know what they were up to here in Appalachia. Everything that the Bish Corporation was up to here, and by extension Dunwich Borers, was coordinated by two people, Edward and James Blackhall, and they were in constant contact with the operation in Cincinnati, which was run by Carolyn Blackhall.
Caroline was one of the Blackhalls who didn't make it to Gralsburg. But she was very deeply involved with everything Oqualtoth related that was happening there.
And here. The Blackhalls were running several parallel operations to locate and eventually free Oqualtoth. They didn't know where to find it.
The Blackhalls in Gralsburg didn't discover that it was imprisoned there until a couple of generations after the Veil stopped functioning.
Serves them right. They were the ones who stole the transliminal resonance module.
So the operative point here is that any Blackhalls that may have remained in our world would have been operating under the idea that they could still have found and freed Oqualtoth if they looked hard enough.
Yes, and they did keep looking. The records indicate that they kept going for several years after the war until the Scorched wiped them out. One thing that jumped out at me. Vault-Tec didn't know what they were up to here. They told them that it was a dead end. And I know why.
All right. Why?
You know those 3 locations we identified on the map of not actually gas deposits?
The triplets.
Yes. According to the records down there, the 3 locations formed something called the Triadic Conduit.
And that is...
An apparatus engineered to channel energies from 3 specific terrestrial coordinates to open a gateway to alternate dimensions.
Specifically to where they believed Oqualtoth was imprisoned.
Sleeping, actually. They didn't know that it was imprisoned. As far as they knew, it was just dormant and waiting to be reawakened.
Wait. If they didn't know it had been imprisoned by the Tuatha, then if they did somehow manage to open this conduit, Oqualtoth wouldn't have been there. So what's the problem? They would have come up empty even if they'd succeeded.
The problem is how the conduit works, and that's why they kept Vault-Tec in the dark.
How does it work?
It works off of something called the Dohna formula, and before you ask, I don't know what that is. But I know what it does, and that's how I know Vault-Tec wasn't involved. Once they fire up the apparatus, it fundamentally alters the fabric of space-time to open a gateway. That gateway is incredibly destructive.
How destructive?
Anything within its radius would be completely wiped out. Not even vaporized. Utterly destroyed.
Surely something would remain, but it would certainly be unrecognizable. Mass is, after all, energy at rest.
How much destruction are we talking about here? What kind of scope?
Look at the map. An enormous chunk of Appalachia would just cease to exist. Not just the triplets themselves, everything within that triangle. We're talking about thousands upon thousands of casualties. And that's if the destruction is completely localized.
I'm not willing to assume that will be the case. Given the nature of the forces we're dealing with here, it's at least possible and perhaps likely that the impacts will be more widespread.
I concur. The black holes in Gralsburg had knowledge that was a bit more refined than what we've seen here. At least so far. These beings and everything surrounding them leave nothing but death and destruction in their wake. Entire universes have gone dark, at least according to the legends.
Even if those legends are embellished, I'm not willing to take that chance. What do we do? I'm open to ideas.
Get this note to Craig McCallan.
What? Are you sure about this?
No, it's a hunch. But it's the best opportunity we have right now to stop this before it has a chance to get started.
Okay. I'll get it to him and I'll make sure it's done quietly.
Get a vertibot ready. We're going back to Cincinnati.
We'll need to be kitted out. Weapons, comms, the lot.
You got it.
The Syndicate has heard a lot about Beth Kirby and Odessa Valdez. I think it's about time they finally met them.
We need to pick up a few things at home. Then we'll get Amanda.
Good call. That will take her out of Viktor Zangiev's crosshairs, and we'll need her help regardless.
What do you need me to do?
Stay here and coordinate local efforts. Keep an eye on the conduit site and make sure nobody tries to sneak in there. If they do, take them out.
Be careful. It's somewhere between possible and likely that Knight Jenkins isn't the only mold that Syndicate's put in place here.
Understood. Good luck.
Ugh, my head.
My apologies. Mr. Zangiev's specialty is assassination, not abduction.
Mr. Zangiev. Ugh, for fuck's sake. Well, at least I'm still breathing, I guess. He got the drop on me.
He did. But in your defense, you were quite distracted at the time.
Still, I gotta be better than that.
Fortunately, your associate left before he became collateral damage.
Fortunately for you, maybe. There'd be a lot of pissed off people if anything happened to Bones. That man is a treasure. So, where are we?
Right now, we should be somewhere over Columbus, I believe.
Did you steal a vertibot from the Brotherhood?
No. Such arrogance to assume that your friends are the only ones capable of air travel.
So where'd you get it?
We appropriated it from the Enclave in Chicago.
Chicago, huh? My kind of town. So where's the rest of your crew? Tweedledum and Tweedledummer. They get airsick? Couldn't make it? Didn't want to come along?
Victor and Dmitri are tucked snugly in their beds, dreaming of whatever mobsters dream of, I suppose.
They don't know?
Of course they don't know. As far as they're concerned, Mr. Zangiev did the job they hired him for, and you're now a corpse rather than my guest. They are simple men. They neither have nor want a larger vision. A cosmic vision.
But you do.
It runs in the family, you could say. We all hear it. The song, calling to us from the abyss, from beyond. My mother, Caroline, was especially attuned to it. I like to think that I share her gift.
That all sounds great. Can I go home now?
You don't have to pretend around me. I know that you understand. I can feel it on you. But your friends, they've been touched by it. Are you jealous of that? I would be.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't play coy with me. The time for that has passed.
The only thing the time has passed for is for you to turn this bucket of bolts around and take me back home.
Oh no, we won't be doing that. But don't worry, your friends will be along shortly.
If you hurt them.
And we four, together, will bring forth wonders the likes of which mankind has never witnessed.
Look, lady, I'm not bringing forth anything other than a solid right hook the second you uncuff me.
Oh, we'll see about that. You simply have not been granted the appropriate perspective. Once you have, I'm fully confident that you'll understand. So, aside from an achy head, how are you feeling, Amanda?
I feel like a million caps. Mickey?
Once Upon a Wasteland, Season 3, Episode 8, As the Wings of Starlings Bear Them On, was produced and directed by Bradley Williams. Once Upon a Wasteland, Season 3, Episode 8, As the Wings of Starlings Bear Them On, was produced and directed by Brad Williams and written by D.K. Trueno. Starring Letitia Lemon as Elizabeth Kirby, Vitriol Plays as Odessa Valdez, and Lucy Middleton as Amanda Otis. Also starring Pandora Beatrix as Layla Romani. Featuring Justine Leah Hintz as Elena Sorokin, Benjamin Campbell as Knight Gregory Carlson, Dexter Howard as Knight Tyler Jenkins, and David Botcher as the Patron. Opening narration by Ashley Sakon. I'm Kirsty Harrison. Please join us for our next episode, Season 3, Episode 9, The Day We Read No More.
I'm Brad Williams, the creator of Once Upon a Wasteland. We'd like to thank you for joining us for the 8th episode of our 3rd season, and we hope that you'll continue to join us as we follow Beth and Odessa's journey toward happily ever after. A big thank you to our VIP patrons, the Mysterious Courier from the North and Spaded Juggler. We'd also like to thank Dawn McCormick and Jeffrey Patch. Thank you all for your support. If you'd like to support the show, you can find details, including benefits like Discord access and merch, at patreon.com/onceuponawasteland. For more information on our show, visit our website, onceuponawasteland.com, where you'll find show information, scripts for each episode, artwork, and more. You can also find us on Twitter at onceupon76pod, Blue Sky at onceuponawasteland.com, and on Instagram and Threads at onceuponawasteland. If you like this episode, please leave a rating and review, which helps other listeners find us, and we hope you'll subscribe as well. Word of mouth is vitally important, so please, tell your friends. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can reach out to us directly on Twitter, via email at brad@onceuponawasteland.com, or on Discord at Reticent Duet. Thank you.